Welcome. It is July 24th and it is a Friday. So I'd like to announce we have our first guest on for Spotlight Friday, and we'll be back in a few minutes to bring him in and have our discussion. Welcome back. Here we are on Friday, and as I mentioned, today is the maiden voyage of our Spotlight Fridays, and tonight we have a guest by the name of Robert out of Newfoundland. Robert has what I think is a very good story. Made some major changes in his life. Decided he needed to make a few changes, and him and I happened to cross paths about less than a week ago, and I asked him to come on the show, and he gratefully said yes. Anyways, so I'm going to bring him on and talk a little bit, and then have Robert tell his story, and we'll go from there. You there, Robert?
Yeah, how's it going?
No, it's going good, going good. I was just mentioning, I don't know what you could hear when I had you out of the studio. I don't know if you guys, I was mentioning that you and I crossed paths only about a week ago.
Yeah.
You know, inadvertently in a way, but it's all right. It's all good.
Good.
Anyways, so we met actually on an app called we initially conversed on an app called MyFitnessPal, and I happen to like that app very much myself. Find it a very useful tool. And obviously you must use it to some degree yourself.
Yeah, I try to. I don't use the forums all that often. That was probably the second post I put up. I don't find there's a whole lot of useful information. Whenever I ask a question, I get more questions in return than I get answers. So
Yeah.
you were nice enough to give me a good response, so I followed up.
Okay. So maybe let's just talk. I'm just gonna ask you a few questions here first. So have you been how long have you been training yourself? Or, I mean, or has this just been something you started doing later in life, in particular to achieve this goal, or was it always kind of part of your lifestyle?
It was always kind of part of my lifestyle, to be honest. I've been training ever since I was a teenager, just not intelligently, just getting
Mm-hmm.
underneath the bench and curls, and just as a young fella, not knowing a whole lot about lifting,
Yeah.
and kind of took me. I moved to Alberta in I guess it was 2009, late
Yep.
2009, and I kept training from there. But eventually, I hurt both my shoulders one morning doing a heavy bench press and ego lifting. I won't lie, and I got out of it for a long time because I was afraid I was going to hurt myself again.
Yep.
And I wound up putting on enough weight to hit 240, 245 pounds.
Yep.
And in 2018, I got married to my wife, and I seen the wedding pictures, and I didn't realize this is what everybody else seen. So it's time for a change. So
Yeah.
I gradually worked my way into it. First off, do a little bit of cardio, and then
Yeah.
okay, I'll stop eating so many, cookies or bad food, right? And it just snowballed from there. To be honest with you, just more and more research on proper lifting techniques and posture issues I had, and every ache and pain I had, I was watching a YouTube video on it for hours on end, trying to figure out what was wrong with me. And
Yeah.
eventually I got to where I am today, where I'm down to 190 pounds. I was the other morning, but that was fully clothed after breakfast. So I'm sure I'm a little bit lighter right now.
Yes.
But this whole COVID thing is really throwing a monkey wrench into my training too. So it's a bit of up and down.
Yeah, and people, so they're not aware. You mentioned it to me. I didn't really go into a lot of detail, but your work out of a camp, do you not?
Yeah, for now I do. We have
Yeah, so, but it makes it a little bit tougher at times to.
it does, yeah, because the food is all pre-cooked for you, right? And you don't know what's in the sauces, and you don't know what's in,
Yeah.
everything they put in front of you. So I tend to just
Mhm.
eat rice, and they have a healthy chicken option, which is boiled chicken breast,
Yeah.
and whatever veggie they got on for that night. That's what I eat, and I never mentioned in my email, but I do have a cheat meal once a week, just to
Oh,
keep my
hey, you
mind
know what?
strong.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, it really, I mean, I've made issues of this in my previous live streams that, diet is a very important element. It's the second most important element, building block, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
But there has to be some sanity to it. There has to be some sanity to it. And I don't care if you're just the guy trying to drop 20 pounds or the girl, or if you're, the competitor. You still need to have that element, and it'll keep you better mentally focused, and therefore will that type of information will translate into better workouts and better training in the long run.
absolutely. Well, I was in Fort St. John maybe a year and a half ago, and I hit a real plateau of 215 pounds, and I couldn't break it.
Yep.
And so what I did was I went to the local supplement store. I figured, well, maybe I'll try Fat Burner. And I walked in, and the lady behind the counter, she asked me what I was looking for, and I told her my situation. And that's what she suggested was go have a cheat meal. If you're eating so rigidly every day, she
Uh-huh.
said, go have a cheat meal.
Yep.
And sure enough, I had that. The next day I was down. I ate a 12-inch pizza and a pound of wings, and I was down weight the next day. I couldn't believe it. So it's been
Yeah.
I religiously have one a week. I don't go crazy. Like some people will just go hog wild as a cheat day. It's got to be a cheat meal and treat yourself to something you don't normally have.
Yeah. I do the same thing even currently. I wouldn't call it a cheat meal. I'll have a day where I'll let myself enjoy a few things. You know what I mean? So I keep my but for me, cheat stuff is a lot different than most people. Other than the fact I do like something sweet once in a while, so I try to restrict that. And I mean, like, really sweet. I mean, we're talking like cheesecake sweet, that type of thing, right? So, but I'll limit that. But when it comes to anything else, I've uh, I've just rearranged my eating. I've never been one of these guys. Even at my prime, when I was training in my 20s and 30s, I couldn't sit down and eat 5,000 calories in a day. I couldn't. I was not capable of doing it.
It's
Okay.
difficult to eat 3,000.
Yeah, that's right. It is. It is
Yeah.
very much. I went through a little phase here just a few weeks ago after we got through when the gyms finally opened, and I had out my caloric intake at about 2,000 calories. And I was just to give myself a starting point. It
Yeah.
wasn't because I thought 2,000 calories. But I wanted to have a starting point. And to be honest with you, I never had a day where I felt like I was starving at 2,000 calories.
No, I don't.
Yeah, and it depends on what it's constituted out of, right? So
Yeah.
we'll go back into diet a little bit here. Let's just talk a little bit more. So is it fair to say then you've been training seriously only for the last 2 years? Was that
Yeah.
fair
Yeah.
to say?
With any intelligence behind it, yes, for the last two
Okay,
years.
all right. And over the period of that, like what type of training schedule would you say I mean, I'm sure you tried a few different things, but like, how often did you find yourself going to the gym on an average basis, and like that type of thing?
In the last 2 years, you mean?
Yeah, in the last 2 years. I mean, just
So,
not
so
previous.
last year I was when I really got serious about it, I was going about 6 days a week. I was working in Whistler in BC, and I went to that gym and I was spending 2 hours lifting and just spinning my wheels really. And then I
Yeah.
got my hands on this book, Bigger, Leaner, Stronger by Michael Matthews, and he outlines that I'm from what I could interpret, I'm overtraining by doing 2 hours a day in the gym, and that's where my split came from was his split in his book. As you mentioned
Okay.
in your email, it didn't really make much sense. It doesn't make much sense to me either, but I go with it. And so I cut my workouts down to an hour a day, and then if it's available to me, some cardio as of recently since I'm trying to cut my weight even further.
Yeah.
But I really enjoy the sauna and the steam room too if it's available. I find it really helps a lot with sore joints, muscles, and
Yes.
all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So 6 days a week was what it started out as, but I've kind of leaned it out, and I go 5 days a week, and I take two rest days a week, and maybe one of those would be an active rest day, so I'll just go do the light cardio for half an hour or stretch or whatever. But 5 days max. I don't train no more than that.
Have you, I'm just curious, because you talked about how much you're training and overtraining that. Have you seen any of my previous live streams, like when I talked about HIT training and in particular, I kind of went down those avenues, covering the bases. I didn't really go into a whole lot of depth. Did you look at any of those? I'm just kind of curious about, your thought patterns as to what is considered too much and what is cut back.
As far as hit goes, hit's fairly new to me. I really despise cardio in the worst sense, but hit shouldn't last more than 20 minutes. Okay. If you're doing it right.
No, I'm not talking about the cardio form. I'm talking about the HIT training for actually, weights. There's two different things. People call there is a version for people to do that in cardio style, which you outlined actually in your email to me. Okay. And then there's HIT training or heavy duty training. Some people use the misnomer of heavy duty training, which is not correct because it really has. Yes, you are trying to use a certain maximized type of weight, but you're not. That's not really the focus. It's the intensity of the set and the duration of the sets and the amount of sets. So I'm just kind of curious if you have any knowledge of that at all, or if you've read into that.
When I left the regime I just got off of now, I was doing, as I told you in my email, I was doing higher reps, low weight, and that was just to really build a good mind and muscle connection after being in the gym for so long.
Yes.
So that's kind of, and I watched a video with athlete next Jeff Cavalier, and he actually mentions that the muscles speak only one language, and that's time under tension. So I figure if I could make 5 pounds feel like 100, I'd be accomplishing the same goal as picking up 300 pounds and doing it, and say doing a deadlift for 4 reps. Is kind of 6 and 1 half than the other,
Okay.
But normally I don't do any weightlifting hit. It's all cardio based, and when I am lifting, like in the program I'm following now, I go at least to my 80% max, and I only aim for 4 to 6 reps, and I break for 3 minutes depending on the lift I'm doing.
Yep. Okay. So let's go a little bit more specifically, a little bit more into detail about, you kind of skimmed the surface here. So 2 years ago, give or take, you said, I guess that was spring or summer 2018?
Yeah, spring, May.
When you got married. So you're sitting there at 240 pounds, and obviously, a light bulb goes off, right? And then, you decide, so what were you saying to yourself? Was it just a simple, that's terrible? Or, it's something I know for me, I remember specific points, and I know what I said when I looked at things, right? So.
Well, for me, it was just enough is enough. I was telling myself before I hit 30 by the time I'm 30 years old, I'm going to have a 6-pack. And I was 32 and I was way behind the deadline. So that picture just reinforced that I had to make a change. And, I'm a father of 2 little boys, and I got to take care of my health as best I can, right? And maybe this is a little extreme, but
very important.
The more muscle mass you have, the healthier you'll stay for longer. It's especially getting up into in the 40s and 50s. You need to have as much muscle mass as you can pack on to stay healthy. So that's kind of my goal.
So how long from the time you first made that that revelation in your mind to when you saw a reasonable amount of progress? How long do you think that period of time was?
Oh.
Just roughly. When you already started to notice something different,
It was at least 9 months for sure.
9 months.
When I was in Fort St. John and I seen that I hit that 215-pound plateau, I could start seeing the outline of abs and start seeing some muscle definition, and that was okay. I'm on the right path now. I know what I got to do, and
Yeah.
But yeah, it took about 9 months to see some serious progress for sure.
Okay. I'm going to a couple of moments here, bring up those pictures you bravely let me show on screen here. How long from the time that you started to the before and afters in these pictures? What's the time frame?
That the before picture was before I got married. I couldn't tell you exactly, but it was 2018 for sure. And the after picture was February this year. So I'm a little bit leaner now that I am in that picture that you have.
Mm-hmm.
But that was at the time was my leanest.
Okay. I am going to this. Okay, this is going to be new for here. Okay, but I'm thinking I'm going to try and bring the pictures up, and we should be able to still see each other and
Okay.
talk about everything else. This might take a little bit of work. Just give me a couple of seconds. You still there?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to see. Hold on here. Let's get the right one here. Here we go. Oh, here we go. Pretty sure we got the right screen. I'm hoping I got the right screen here, Robert. If I can get this picture up. Hold on. Really wanted to get this pictures up that you showed me there. I don't think that's it. Oh boy. Had them all set. Oh, there we are. Can you see that?
Not yet. No.
Okay. So I must have the wrong. Okay, search results. There we go. Okay, let's go back into here. And let's go share screen. This is new software for me, so you'll have to just bear with me here for a second here.
No problem.
I want to just see if I can get this screen. I know we can find it somewhere here. Go. I think I have it this time. Now you should be able to see it.
There you go.
Okay. So if you can see it, that means everybody else should be able to see it as well. So,
yeah.
Like I'm looking and I'm impressed, Robert. I mean, this is good work. You know what I mean? Like, that's nothing to be scoffed at. So you'd say in that larger picture and the upper one and the one on the left, those are at the same time, those pictures?
Yeah, around about, yeah.
Okay. And you're about 240, you said there, give or take?
Yeah.
You can tell, you have some thickness to your chest and shoulder area, and that, you're carrying, a waist, that's for sure. But that's and in the picture below, what are you looking at? What are you looking at weight wise there exactly?
That was about 195 there.
Okay, so that's 45 pounds. That's a 45-pound transition. And I just want to reiterate, to the people that are watching and will watch Futures on the Road, you do this completely naturally, correct?
Absolutely, yeah. I very rarely will I use protein. I stay away from pre-workouts altogether. Protein and creatine. There's some days, eating 200 grams of protein just becomes too much. You just supplement with a shake and get it over with.
Yeah.
Creatine, I use a little bit of that from time to time, and maybe a BCAA, but I find it's just throwing my money out the window half the time. Not so much the protein, but the other supplements, I find they're useless. You get a lot of these hype words that you see on the box.
Yeah.
Testosterone boosters, and there's no way to boost your testosterone unless you go on anabolics. So I mean,
and I agree there. I'll be honest with you. I mean, because this is your hour here, but I'll just quickly tell you about my philosophy on supplements. I just finished a live stream on supplements, but for myself, I literally did. Other than the first 2 years, I went not a single supplement after that for the next 30 years. Never touched one, not a protein supplement, nothing. I did shows and won them. I didn't even take a multivitamin, multi-mineral.
Wow.
Okay? But I can tell you that when I came out of the hospital, I don't know if you've read any of my background or I did a video I did the first Friday Night Spotlight, right? It was actually my story where I got sick and basically almost died multiple times and ended up and I lost I went from 230 pounds to 169 pounds and no muscle left on me.
Yeah.
And when I got out of the hospital, I went with protein and I went with creatine.
Yeah.
And I'll have to tell you, I am a 100% believer in creatine. 100%.
Absolutely.
It is those are and I believe in a multivitamin, multi-mineral, as well as B complex and C. Only because B complex and C are the only water soluble vitamins. Fat soluble vitamins you don't need to replace. Water soluble, yes. But creatine really surprised me. Honest to God, I was like, I couldn't believe the difference. It's definitely a good facilitator. It helps with glycogen loading. Much fuller feel, much stronger. And I don't think I would do without it. I definitely don't do protein powders if I'm getting ready for a show. Like I was supposed to do a show in October, but that's being put off to next year, and I'll cut out the protein powder for that last 8-12 weeks. Anything dairy based to me is not it just doesn't work in a diet phase. It doesn't.
Well, you have to be so careful too with some of the protein powders that are out there. They're full of sawdust. Not seriously, but there are a lot of fillers in them, right? And unless you're spending a small fortune on a bag or
Yeah.
you got to be
People that just love to throw their money away and stuff, and the thing is, all these companies know that, especially these young people, they want something so bad, they want to believe in it, right?
Yeah.
But and it's mind blowing, to be honest with you. It's mind blowing what people can be made to believe.
Yeah, well, I mean, and like I said, these companies, they make you think, well, one dose of this and you'll have 40 pounds of muscle on. But listen, the only way you're ever going to get those results is if you take anabolics. If you get those results on anabolics, then you really don't deserve those results to begin with, in my opinion, anyway. I mean, if you couldn't naturally get that big, then you shouldn't be that big to begin with. But I know why competitors do it. I mean, it's the only way to stay competitive in the bodybuilding industry these days. In most cases, that you have to get into these types of things. So if you're doing it for a career, I can kind of wrap my head around it. If you're going to be competitive and someone who's going to make a fortune like Ronald Coleman or someone like that, but for someone who takes it as a hobby like me, I got no time for it. And anybody who tries to take them around me and are just hobbyists like myself, I give them no credit.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I've reiterated this many times. I don't consider anybody that uses PEDs in any form or fashion they're not a weight trainer, they're not a bodybuilder, not in my books, because I've loved this sport. Obviously, you've become really glued to it yourself. But I've loved this sport since I was 6 years old, and I just hate the abuse that's been going on. So I wanted to get a little bit more in on your thoughts on natural training and natural bodybuilding. Do you go into? You mentioned Ronnie Coleman, so obviously you have had some interest in the bodybuilding world. Do you watch many YouTube videos and stuff, that type of thing? Do you get into the what's going on in that world with all the fake naturals and all that? Do you
No, not really. I watched Ronnie Coleman's documentary, and I got to know him a little bit through there. And he was just on Joe Rogan's podcast a couple weeks ago, and I learned a little bit from him there. But I've never really followed bodybuilding in any sense or anything like that. Just YouTube videos on instructional ways on how to lift properly and intelligently, and also physiotherapy videos, because I can't afford to go see a physiotherapist myself. So I got to work on myself.
Do you have much in the way? Because I mean, obviously, we end up sooner or later. We all end up with some type of injuries. I've been lucky enough to not have any major ones because I've always trained intelligently. But every once in a while, we get a little sloppy. We get a little along your way. Have you had anything major? Like anything that really took you right out of the game for a while?
No, not really. Well, except for when I hurt my shoulders when I was probably 25. I was bench pressing 340 pounds, and like I said, I wasn't doing it right. I was recruiting every other muscle I shouldn't be recruiting in order to put that kind of weight. And anyway, I finished up at the gym that day, and I would always pair chest and triceps. So here I was doing dips with 90 pounds on a belt underneath me, and when I got home, I couldn't even get my hands over my head to wash my hair. I had to get my wife to help me. So I had that big injury, and that took me out of the game for quite some time. I was afraid to go back because I didn't want that to ever. I'm a helicopter mechanic by trade, and I got to be with my hands over my head all the time, and it made my job difficult. So I stayed away from it. Then this time I got into it. I started by asking what's wrong with me, what caused that to begin with, and so I learned right away I had rounded shoulders. You hold your thumbs are funny if they point towards one another. Well, you got a posture issue, so I started with correcting that, and then going into mind to muscle connection exercises and all that sort of stuff, and it gave me a lot of interest. When I was in Fort St. John, I was doing squats this morning, and I don't know, I got back to the crew house I was staying at, and I just felt some discomfort in my mid back. I didn't know what it was. It didn't feel right, but I wasn't in any pain. and I had to travel to Red Deer in a helicopter for a specific job. So I got to Red Deer, and I was talking to one of my friends and telling her, I got this weird pain in my back, and she said, "We should go see my friend Doug." So luckily enough, this guy got me into his clinic, and he gave me he's a retired power lifter and all this sort of stuff, and it got him into physiotherapy and sports therapy and stuff like that.
Sports medicine, yeah.
Yeah, so he gave me a massage, and at the end, he took his thumb and he pushed right down on one of my ribs in my back, and I got up and I was pain free. He told me I had dislocated a rib doing squats. He said, "Stay away from the squat rack for 2 or 3 weeks. Go to the leg press, you'll be fine." But I never realized that I could get my mobility back by this sort of treatment. So it really got me interested in looking for videos on what he's done and learning more and more about it. And if I had my time back, Barry, I would never have learned how to fix helicopters. I would have learned how to fix people. It's a lot more rewarding.
Oh, I believe it. I believe it.
And
that's one thing that's important, right? Learning. That's what people don't. All their many. That's why I believe the drug epidemic is what it is, because everybody just wants that end result. They don't want to learn anything.
No.
If you want to learn, I can tell you, after 43 years of training, like the journey's been just wonderful, and it's not even anywhere close to over for me yet. Like I still learn new things. I still learn things about myself and stuff that I can pass on to other people.
Absolutely.
And like you said, it's amazing what you can do with your own body, and you learn, if you get a minor injury, how do you train yourself out of it?
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing, learning to train yourself out of an injury. Barring, you need nothing short of surgery. Usually most things you can train your way out of it if you think logically.
Yeah. Well, currently I have a pain in my right knee. I can't squat. As soon as I get down past my knee, once my knees go past 90 degrees, the pain really shoots up. But I've got, a pelvic tilt. I've got, what else? I've got a few issues there that I'm trying to work out. So I can do quad extensions. I do them one leg at a time, just trying to rehab that quad.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do exercises to fix the side glute medius, so that way I got a better base for squatting. And I looked up a video on doing box squats, so that's going to be my next thing. I'm going to try and get back into squats. I can't right now. I'm not allowed in the gyms in Newfoundland. I got my little pull-up bar and a few weights that my wife has here in the room. Just get my jail yard workout on, but until I get back to camp, I won't know. But it might be good to take two weeks off of training legs heavy like that, and trying to get back into it.
Well, from a guy that's been around for a lot of years, Robert, the good news is you don't really have to squat past parallel. And I'll be perfectly honest with you. This has been debated many times over, but in any of the top athletes, sometimes it's just preference. But if you think about it from a mechanics point of view, anything past parallel, then you start bringing in a lot more glute, a lot more hamstring. Fact is, a parallel squat is a good squat. Short of there is not the greatest thing. Also, keep in mind, many people, especially if you have some background in squatting, if you have some base, I can tell you right now that many people prepare for shows and never touch a squat rack. I do believe in the exercise. It's a great exercise.
Yeah.
But it's not great necessarily. It's not just great because of a quad builder, though. It's because it's an effect you get. It's an all body exercise.
Yeah.
What the benefit is, right?
Yeah.
And it also helps you mentally, because it develops this link, and it makes your whole body, like when you're squatting well, you feel strong. Anybody will tell you leg workouts are the most brutal there is, but when you have a successful leg workout, you're on top of it. You're on top of the hill. That's the way it is. It's just, why is that? It's because of the mental effect. Yeah. So don't be disheartened if you can't even squat very often, if you can't squat, because you can build good legs. I don't like to quote pros, because we both know they're all using tons of drugs and that, but regardless of that, they're still doing exercises, right? Yeah. And, Dorian Yates has been on point many times. I said for, I forget how many years now, he hasn't touched the squat rack. He's done all his shows with leg press and leg extension. So it can be done, and especially if you already have a history, So just a couple more things here. What would you say if you had some kid come into the gym, and you're training in there, and what would be the key points you might say to some kid? So let's say he's being, as many do, get approached, when it comes to maybe the idea of maybe using drugs or not, or what type of path would you set them on? Could you have anything to say to them? Because I know I would. I mean, I know I'd have a lot to say to some young lad or some young lady came in the gym and was getting touted by, the type of people that do happen to wander around gyms doing that.
Yeah, yeah. There's lots. Everybody I see in the gym, there's something I want to tell them. But for someone who's going to start, I would just tell them, just take it slow. You got your entire life. You don't need drugs or supplements to help get. You get to this rock star form with drugs, but you have to keep taking them, or else the size goes away.
Yep.
I mean, I would tell them, pay attention to your posture, your form, your lifting technique. Take it slow at the beginning. Start with lightweight, work your way up. There's no rush, and leave your ego at the door, because
Yep.
just get more respect if you leave your ego at the door and ask the right questions than you will if you walk in thinking you know how to do everything and, and leave with an injury.
Yep.
When I'm at the gym, I'm not a personal trainer, but anytime I'm at the gym, if somebody's got a question, I'll certainly point them in the right direction.
Yep.
Just the other day up in camp, there's this young guy who's doing deadlifts, and
Mm-hmm.
every time he would lift, he would hyperextend his back at the top. And
Oh.
so he come over to me and he said, "Can you spot my deadlift?" And I said, "Sure enough, I will." But there's a girl that I work with, and she's a personal trainer on her time off. So I told her, I said to him, "You should ask her for advice." And you see his eyes light up. Oh, he comes to
Yeah.
the guy in the gym, but there's this little blonde haired girl that was going to give him the most pointers. But she
Yep.
spotted as well as I did was the hyper extending of his back. He's standing up past straight, and he's
Yep.
going to blow the disc if he's not careful. But anyway, he straightened himself out. He was more worried about his shoulders being rounded, which they were kind of a little bit. But I just told him, she pointed out the hyperextending of his back, and I told him that when he's lifting, if he's going to go heavy, you need to pick a spot on the wall and stare at that, and to keep your back nice and straight up and down.
Yep.
And just told him to keep that bar tight to his shins and his legs the whole way up, because if it drifts out in front of him, he's gonna pull a lat, and he's gonna be out of the game for a couple weeks.
Yep. What do you feel about the many people? I mean, this is something I find extremely irritating because I've been around so long, and I know it not to be a truth. What are your thoughts on people's ability to actually reach their potential? And what I guess what I'm getting at is there's so many people who will say, well, I've been training 5 years. I think I already maxed out my potential, and so I've decided, I'm going to start using pets on that. Like, what is your thoughts on, can people actually even get to that point where they achieve their potential naturally? I'm of the opinion, and because I've been doing it for over 40 years, that people never ever reach their maximum potential because they don't master the mental aspect of things, and that's where the key is. That's my thoughts. What about yourself?
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people get disheartened because if it's your first time at the gym, you have that honeymoon period where your body responds very well, and you'll bolt on 20 pounds of muscle in the first 6 months, and you're going to keep expecting that. But your muscle building tapers off really quickly, and to put on a pound of muscle or 2 pounds of muscle a year after you hit that point, that's good gains, good solid muscle. But I don't think many people. I think 40 or 50 pounds of muscle added to your body. I think it'd be hard to even go past that. I mean, unless you're making a career out of it. And I think 50 pounds is I don't know. I think it might be a good is a good point to reach, but I think getting further than that is difficult.
Mhm.
The book I read by Michael Matthews, he outlines that putting on a pound or half a pound of muscle per year is a challenge for him, and he's been like yourself, been training for a long time.
Yeah.
But the key is like you said, some people just go and they go through the motions. They go and they do the same exercises every day, and they're never challenging themselves. But the key to it is to always be challenging yourself. If you can hit 6 reps on a certain lift over and over again, it's time to up that weight. Even if it is 5 pounds or if it's 10 pounds, you got to up it a little bit in order to trigger that response in your body to grow.
That's
right. But you're never going to get these explosive gains like you do in the beginning. You know, those fade off pretty fast. And a couple of my friends who started working out with me, they're getting real strong real fast. And I said, yeah, you just give yourself a couple months and that'll taper off. You know, you get that honeymoon period. That's what I call it anyway.
I agree. Well, no, it's a good it's a good way of looking at it. I don't. I truly believe, and I've seen it. I've seen it with students. I've seen it with myself, that you can make gains throughout your whole life. I don't believe anybody actually reaches their potential. No, you're not going to do 10-pound gains a year. I mean, let's face it, do the mathematics on it. It's impossible, right? But I do believe that if the amount of time it takes you to get everything right, that's where a lot of the the lost gains occur. People don't realize that they could have been making better gains in that period of time, but you're going through the learning period. You're learning how your body responds. You're learning about nutrition. You're learning about, you're learning everything, right? So you're right. Those first 3 months, only because most bodies haven't been doing anything, they'll respond to anything. But I'm of the opinion that, especially for the first 5 to 10 years, and I mean you're lifting consistently. You're not taking layoffs, and you're not dropping your intensity. I do believe that you can make a solid. I'm talking averages here. I believe you can do 5 to 10 pounds in your first couple of years, and I do believe from then on in, for the next probably up to 10 years, you can easily do another 2 to 3 pounds a year. And I've seen it. I've done it myself.
Yeah.
And from then it starts to teeter off. But just because you're not gaining more muscle weight doesn't mean you're not getting a better physique.
Yeah.
Because I do believe you will see, if you look at a 20-year-old, and I don't care if it's a 20-year-old on drugs and a 40-year-old on drugs, or a 20-year-old natural and a 40-year-old natural, put them side by side. The quality of the muscle improves over time. Graininess does not come with youth. Size sometimes will, and strength sometimes will, but graininess does not. So, and just keep that in mind, when you're going through your rituals and, thinking maybe this is it, this is the best it's going to be. It's not, because it will continue to improve, but it's not always going to improve in body weight. It's going to improve in symmetry. It's going to improve in definition. It's going to improve in hardness. But being consistent, that's all it takes.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's not that's not smoke and mirrors.
No.
So I got 43 years to back it up that says it's true.
Yeah, I agree with you. You said you may never look like the Incredible Hulk, but like you said, your muscles will get denser. You'll get stronger.
Yeah.
You might not be this visual. You might not be this Ronnie Coleman physique type person, but you'll definitely be stronger. If you just, and it's like you said, it's just repetition. It's practice over and over again. It's where
the argument for everybody thinking they've achieved their natural potential is because how many people do you know have been training their whole adult life?
Not
Almost
many.
Nobody. You know why, right? Because they're not interested in that journey. If you're interested in the journey, it becomes your lifestyle.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be fanaticism, it becomes your lifestyle. And therefore, you have to find people that have been lifting consistently. Like, I know there's not a lot of people that are still training hard at 60 years old. I just turned 60 2 weeks ago, and I train as hard, if not harder, than I did, when I was 20.
Yeah.
And that's a fact. I dare anybody, any kid in his 20s or 30s, to keep up with me in the gym. Like, I take my sets right to the limit, right? And and I know, because I've been stuck through it, even through illness, and I've stuck through it, that people don't. The argument gets substantiated because there just aren't enough people that have stuck it out. They either stopped training or they've gone the drug route.
Yeah.
And you and I both know that even the ones that choose the drug route, sooner or later, stop training. You can see them on YouTube videos all over the place, right? I see all types of these guys that used to be, these immense bodybuilders, and I look at them and I go, wow, like they don't even look, they even touch a weight anymore. Like that to me is not passion, right? You have to have passion. If you have passion for it, you will do it your whole life.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I am. I have to do it every day, or at least on my work days, or else I get grumpy and my wife would kick me at the house. Go work out, she said.
Yeah. Well, if I can tell you one thing, before we sign off, is develop the passion. You will not regret it. It'll roll over into so many other areas of your life. You'll feel motivated more days than not, and you'll have direction that most people don't achieve. It's a good thing. And I mean, no one will ever be able to take that away from you. And it doesn't come in a can. It doesn't come in a needle. You know what I mean? It's there every day.
Yeah, it's I find lifting, if or not just lifting, but keeping a healthy lifestyle, being consistent about it, it's applicable to all things in life. If you want to get good at anything, and you can take this, you can apply it to your career, or you can apply it to whatever you want in life.
Yes.
And and I find this has really improved my career in a lot of ways because of the focus, because it clears my head, the stress that I have sometimes. It's improved my quality of life in more
Yep.
ways, just visually.
Yep.
I'll never give it up. I'm
Good.
sure I'll have another injury here or there, or maybe my weight will fluctuate 5 or 10 pounds, but this is it for me now. This is the way I'm gonna continue living life as long as I can.
You never know, Robert. Maybe there'll be some type of competition for you down the road. Maybe it won't be bodybuilding. Maybe it'll be some type of fitness competition. There's lots of things that incite, you're taking yourself to the next level of training if you want that. I mean, it doesn't have to be just opposing diets. It could be a lot of things. But even if it's that, you never know. Like I said, you're still in my books. You're in the newbie stage to me. Like you're still, like you. That's right, but you've done well. You've done amazing stuff in 2 years, but you can so much more ahead of you.
Yeah.
You do. And I
Thank
believe you can really turn it into something really special.
I hope so. I hope so.
Okay. Anyways, it was wonderful. I'm thankful that you offered to take part tonight. I'm hoping we get some more people interested. I want to keep Friday nights going here, spotlight shows for people that, get out there, tell their story. I mean, if you want to be part of the natural process, support it, and tell people about your adventure. Your adventure in life. It's all good. All right. Anyways, take care of yourself where you are. Stay safe.
You too.
Okay. God bless. All right. Bye for now.
Bye.
All right. Anyways, that's going to wrap that up. I hope you enjoyed that. And just to put that out there, anybody that knows of anybody else, or knows a friend of a friend, people that have had success stories, people that have had interesting stories, people that are taking part. The only prerequisite is, I'd like people that have been involved in the weight training game, and they have to be either natural or they've come to some type of revelation in their life, a ways back where they've gone natural. And anyways, I'd love to hear about them. And I'm sure the people out there would like to hear those stories, as well as just individuals who have had, tremendous weight gains or weight loss and changed their whole life and their whole perspective. These are all things to be celebrated. Anyways, that is going to wrap that up, I think, for us for tonight. I thank anybody that was listening in, and anybody else that decides to watch this video after. I really hope that you enjoyed this, and many more to come. God bless. Take care.